They told him he was too young. Then he ripped La Liga apart. Now, Barcelona's secret weapon is coming for the Ballon d'Or, and nobody's ready. But the darkest truth? Europe's elite already know they can't stop him. Watch until the final seconds, because what happens next will haunt defenders for the next decade. Born on July 13, 2007, in Esplugues de Llobregat, a municipality in the province of Barcelona, Lamine Yamal came into the world with humble beginnings. His father, of Moroccan descent, and his mother, originally from Equatorial Guinea, shaped a boy caught between cultures and neighborhoods. His parents separated when he was still a toddler, forcing him to bounce between homes, his mother in Granollers and his father in Rocafonda. These weren't the polished corridors of opportunity. They were tough, unpredictable environments. But something grew in him through that chaos. Grit, hunger, a kind of emotional armor forged in the contradictions of his upbringing. And it is this foundation that separates him from his peers, not just the flair in his boots, but the fire behind his eyes. At just 4 years old, most children are still learning to lace their shoes. Lamine was already weaving between defenders on a pitch. It wasn't organized football in the grand sense, but it was enough for coaches and local scouts to blink twice. By 6, he was no longer just impressing at CF La Torrita, he was on Barcelona's radar. And once Barcelona sees something in you, they don't wait. That's how La Masia opened its gates to a boy barely tall enough to reach the drinking fountains. But make no mistake, he wasn't just admitted. He invaded it with elegance. La Masia, the famed cradle of Catalan talent that birthed the likes of Andrés Iniesta, Sergio Busquets, and Lionel Messi, is no ordinary football school. To rise through its ranks demands more than skill. It demands psychological resilience, intelligence, and a relentless spirit. Lamine Yamal didn't just fit in at La Masia. He bent it to his rhythm. He played against older boys already twice his size and experience, and still stood out. At age 15, when most teens are navigating the chaos of adolescence, Lamine was training with Barcelona's first team. Training, competing, dominating. There's a famous image circulating in the darker corners of football fan pages. A baby-faced Lamine Yamal being held in a bathtub by none other than Lionel Messi. It wasn't a setup or a photoshopped fan fantasy. It was real. A 2008 charity event captured a fleeting moment between one legend and another waiting to be born. Who could have predicted that this toddler, skin still creased from baby fat, would one day glide across the same pitch that Messi turned into a theater of dreams? Fast forward to April 29, 2023. Barcelona is cruising through a 4-0 victory over Real Betis. Out steps a 15-year-old boy into the lion's den of La Liga. That moment wasn't just symbolic, it was seismic. At 15 years, 9 months, and 16 days, Lamine Yamal became the youngest ever player to represent Barcelona in the league. And he didn't merely jog around collecting sweat. He almost scored minutes after entering, dribbling past defenders with the gall of someone too young to understand the weight of history. Coach Xavi Hernandez didn't mince words afterward. He said Lamine wasn't just talented, he was fearless, and that fearlessness has become his trademark. The most terrifying part of Lamine Yamal's rise isn't how young he is, it's how ready he is. Most wonder kids are electric but erratic. They show glimpses. Lamine shows command. There's no stutter in his step, no hint of hesitation. In his mind, he doesn't belong in the future. He belongs in the now. When the 2023-2024 season began, Xavi didn't treat him like a novelty. He put him on the team sheet. Game after game, senior defenders, some of them seasoned warriors of La Liga, were humiliated by a teenager. Cadiz, disassembled. Villarreal, torn apart. Before his 17th birthday, Lamine had racked up 50 senior appearances. That number doesn't just place him among young stars. It launches him into a new stratosphere altogether. Records crumbled. Youngest starter in La Liga for Barcelona? Lamine. Youngest assist provider? Lamine. Youngest goal scorer? You guessed it, Lamine. But club records weren't enough. On September 8, 2023, Lamine made his debut for the Spanish national team. Again, not just to warm the bench or gain experience. He scored on his debut, on the international stage. And then came the call-up to the European Championship. A 16-year-old walking into a tournament built for hardened veterans. What should have been overwhelming became effortless. He was named Young Player of the Tournament, not as a gesture, as a necessity. What we are witnessing with Lamine Yamal is not merely a young talent making his way through the system. We are witnessing a historical acceleration. He is ahead not just of his generation, but of time itself. Consider this. In his first 100 games for Barcelona, he recorded 33 assists. Messi, 21. Neymar, 26. And this isn't a stat-padding exercise. These were game-changing, defense-splitting, tempo-altering contributions. Each assist an incision into the opposition's soul. People are already drawing comparisons, but even those analogies feel limiting. The left-footed artistry? That's Messi. The flamboyant flicks and fearless audacity? That's Neymar. But Lamine is an alchemist. He fuses the ruthlessness of Messi with the mischief of Neymar, and then adds something that neither had at this stage, an uncanny maturity. He doesn't play like a boy imitating heroes. He plays like someone hell-bent on surpassing them. When Barcelona met Inter Milan in the Champions League semi-final first leg, a 3-3 thriller, Lamine Yamal didn't just score. He erupted. A solo run that defied defensive geometry, a finish that punctured the noise of the stadium. That goal made him the youngest scorer ever in a Champions League semi-final, snatching the record from Kylian Mbappé. Inter manager Simone Inzaghi later confessed, "Yamal created a lot of problems for us." But it was his final sentence that sent shivers through football's spine. He is a talent that is born every 50 years. And that's where the scary truth intensifies. Lamine Yamal is not a talent rising through ranks. He is a glitch in the footballing matrix, an anomaly. And yet, he doesn't carry himself like one. Off the pitch, he remains quiet, grounded, almost bashful in interviews. He avoids controversy, focuses on training, and maintains a circle of trust led by super agent Jorge Mendes. Barcelona knows what they have. That's why they moved quickly to secure his future. Europe's elite would sell stadiums just to get a glimpse, let alone a signature. Yet with all this, there remains an eerie silence in some corners of football media. Why isn't the world screaming louder? Why aren't pundits panicking over what this means for the balance of power? It could be disbelief. It could be that his rise is so fast, so flawless, that many can't accept it as real. Or maybe it's something deeper, a fear that football is changing, and Lamine Yamal is the proof. Some might caution patience. They'll remind you of Freddie Adu, Boyan Krkic, or even Ansu Fati, players whose lights burned brightly before dimming too soon. But here's the difference. None of them ever controlled games the way Lamine does. None showed this level of vision, execution, and adaptability at such a ridiculous age. He isn't a sprinter dashing out of the blocks. He's an architect laying blueprints in real time. Under Hansi Flick, Barcelona hasn't just embraced Lamine. They've reoriented around him. His versatility is surreal. Primarily operating on the right wing, he cuts in with menace, mirroring young Messi. But he can switch flanks, play centrally, drop deep, or dart in behind. Every touch stretches the opposition, unzips formations, and forces tactical rewrites. For defenders, it's a nightmare. For Barcelona, it's a blessing that comes with its own risks, because over-reliance is now a very real concern. Already, fans have started whispering about the Ballon d'Or. Former legends and analysts alike are not dismissing the possibility. If Barcelona lifts the Champions League, and if Spain dazzles on the international stage, Lamine Yamal could become the youngest serious contender for football's highest individual prize. That isn't a fairy tale. It's a statistical possibility. But here's where the fear truly sets in. What if this is just the beginning? What if Lamine hasn't even tapped into his full arsenal? He's still growing, both physically and tactically. He's still learning the nuances of positioning, of stamina management, of leadership. And if this is the level he's operating at before the age of 18, where does it end? The world needs to wake up. This isn't a story of potential. This is a story of manifestation. Lamine Yamal isn't waiting for his prime. He's dragging it into the present. And while other young stars may fizzle or plateau, he gives no sign of slowing. That's the scariest truth of all, that we're not watching a prospect. We're watching a force, one that refuses to follow history, one that's here to make it. Now you've seen the phenomenon unfolding before our eyes. Is Lamine Yamal the future greatest, or are we witnessing something even bigger, an evolution the game has never seen? Tell us in the comments, how far do you think Lamine can go? And don't leave without subscribing for more untold stories about the legends who are changing football forever.